You wake up one day, look at the person sleeping next to you, and realize a terrifying truth. That intense, all-consuming electric spark you felt in the beginning is completely gone. Panic sets in. You might think the relationship is over, but you're actually witnessing your brain enter severe withdrawal from a behavioral addiction. Look at this diagram. It compares the early stages of dating directly to a casino slot machine. When you first meet someone, their signals are unpredictable. You don't know when they'll text back or if they'll ask you out again. This uncertainty creates an intermittent reinforcement schedule, the same mechanism keeping gamblers pulling the lever. Every positive signal registers as a win, flooding your reward center with dopamine. You obsessively pursue that unavailable partner, chasing the next payout. What we romanticize as the thrill of the chase is a biologically unsustainable addiction to uncertainty. To understand why this high collapses, we have to split desire into two neurological categories: wanting and liking. Wanting is the intense craving and motivation to get something. Liking is the actual physical or emotional pleasure of having it. During the pursuit phase, your brain is entirely hijacked by wanting. You crave the massive dopamine hit from overcoming obstacles and winning their affection. But the moment you finally secure the relationship, the game is won. The uncertainty vanishes. Without those unpredictable obstacles, dopamine production plummets, opening up a massive neurological vacuum. We universally misinterpret this sudden dopamine crash as falling out of love. Because of that biological misunderstanding, people routinely abandon perfectly healthy, compatible partnerships. Nature is pragmatic. Evolution prioritizes the widespread distribution of our genes over our modern human desire for lifelong personal happiness. Because of this, mammals have an evolutionary glitch known as the Coolidge Effect. Our primitive brains build a tolerance to the same mating partner, eventually driving a biological craving for someone new. The term comes from an awkward historical anecdote involving President Calvin Coolidge and his wife Grace touring a government poultry farm in the 1920s. While touring separately, the First Lady noticed a rooster mating dozens of times a day. Amused, she asked the attendant to ensure the president was informed of the president's impressive stamina. When the president heard this, he asked, "Same hen every time?" The attendant replied, "Oh no, Mr. President, a different hen every time." Coolidge smiled and said, "Tell that to Mrs. Coolidge." That joke perfectly illustrates the mammalian brain's insatiable drive for novelty. Between this evolutionary novelty trap and our natural tendency to get used to the things we have, a psychological process called hedonic adaptation, the brain eventually stops producing chemical rewards for a permanent partner's presence. If our biology is wired to constantly crave novelty, how is lifelong monogamous devotion actually possible? Biological anthropologist Helen Fisher answered this by putting people who had been happily married for decades into an MRI machine to scan their brain activity. She found that as the frantic, anxiety-ridden dopamine system quiets down, the brain's secondary reward network, the endogenous opioid system, takes over. This network generates deep, comforting feelings of safety, attachment, and belonging. Companionate love takes hold when the brain shifts gears from the anxious craving of wanting to the warm, opioid-driven satisfaction of actually liking your partner. That peaceful transition to companionate love isn't an automatic default for everyone. To maintain desire over decades, couples have to actively intervene and outsmart their own neurobiology. Clinical psychologists recommend the hedonic adaptation prevention model. It is a strategy designed to trick the brain into sustaining the rewards you felt in the early days of a relationship. One of the most effective tactics is called self-expansion. This involves doing highly novel, slightly anxiety-inducing activities together, like taking a fast-paced dance class or traveling to an unfamiliar country, to force a reboot of the brain's reward system. When you do something thrilling, your brain releases dopamine, but it easily misattributes the source of that rush, assigning the excitement of the activity directly to the person standing next to you, artificially reigniting the initial spark. You also have to stop waiting for spontaneous desire. That intense, unprompted urge is fueled almost entirely by the early chase. Instead, learn to cultivate responsive desire, where physical intimacy is a response to emotional closeness and context. Redefining desire as a response to connection rather than a spontaneous craving neutralizes the destructive pursuit of endless novelty. The most accessible, everyday antidote to hedonic adaptation requires no special activities at all. It is the conscious, daily practice of deep appreciation for your partner. Actively focusing your attention on the value your partner brings to your life forces your brain to register their presence as a positive event. This prevents you from habituating and returning to a baseline of boredom. The biological trick of the dopamine chase is exhausting. It requires constant uncertainty, anxiety, and a rotating cast of new people. Companionate love provides a stable, enduring reward that only grows stronger over time. Lasting devotion becomes possible the moment we stop chasing the addictive high of wanting and finally settle into the profound comfort of genuinely liking the person beside us.
Thanks for watching. Make sure to like this video and share it with your friends. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button.